Have you ever wondered what the truly wild places on Earth are like? Far beyond the well-known destinations, our planet hides untouched realms where nature reigns supreme. From endless jungles and unforgiving deserts to towering mountains and raging oceans. These are places rarely reached by humans, where extreme terrain, unstable climate, and untamed ecosystems create landscapes that are both breathtaking and intimidating. Each location is a powerful testament to the primordial forces of Earth, shaped over millions of years of geological and climatic transformations. Join us to explore the most wild natural wonders you have never seen, where beauty and danger coexist in this impressive 4K journey. Pampatiri Stone Forest. It is like an abandoned stone city where nature has built thousands of houses in the middle of a frozen plateau. Stretching across about 60 square kilometers, stone pillars with heights between 6 and 10 meters rise densely, extending to the horizon like a petrified forest. Each rock block has a pointed top, like a natural roof, strong enough to withstand snowstorms and hail, and even local residents have taken shelter inside them. From above, the entire landscape forms repetitive geometric patterns, with natural paths winding through the stone labyrinth.
The color of the stones changes over time, from light gray to dark brown after rain, standing out against the background of the region's yellow, dry grass in the Puna. Amid such harshness, tufts of grass and small cacti are still able to survive, creating a landscape that is both arid and full of life. White rock rises from the prairie like a gigantic wall, so white that it almost shines under the sun. The rock face is over 100 meters high on one side and slopes gently on the other, giving the impression that the entire rock mass was split in half across the vast plain. Few realize that this entire structure once lay at the bottom of an ancient ocean, formed from countless fossils of marine creatures compressed over tens of millions of years. As you get closer, the rock surface reveals countless traces, from shells and sea urchins to the teeth of prehistoric sharks still marked in the limestone layer. Constant winds over a long period have carved small holes into the rock wall, creating a porous texture similar to a honeycomb across its entire surface. And when the light changes, the entire rock mass shifts from bright white to orange and then to pink, standing out against the green prairie and creating one of the most striking visual contrasts in nature. The Australian outback is a land where red earth is laid bare, stretching all the way to the horizon. In the middle of this space, Uluru emerges like a gigantic monolith, changing color with every shift of light, from vibrant orange to deep red as the sun sets. Further ahead, the Bungle Bungles form a beehive-shaped rocky labyrinth with orange and black stripes, existing for hundreds of millions of years, but only recently becoming widely known. The soil here has a characteristic red color due to oxidized iron, creating a landscape with an almost identical structure to the surface of Mars. In the midst of the aridity, spinifex grass still grows in rounded clumps, reflecting the golden light under the strong sun. And in the heat that distorts the air, mirages of water appear on the road surface, making the boundary between the real and the illusory indistinct in this ancient land. G-Neck State Park is one of the clearest examples in the world of the phenomenon of entrenched river meanders, where an ancient watercourse became locked into rock. The San Juan River originally meandered across a flat surface, but as the Colorado Plateau rose over millions of years, it did not change direction, continuing to cut deeply into the land, forming steep canyons.
The result is extreme curves, where to travel about 2.4 kilometers in a straight line, the river must flow nearly 10 kilometers through successive bends. The river water carries large amounts of mud and sediments from the surrounding desert region, creating a characteristic murky brown color, similar to a dense and thick flow. The canyon walls on both sides are formed by many different geological layers, such as sandstone, shale, and limestone, stacked clearly according to the different phases of Earth's formation. From the elevated viewpoint, you can see the same river repeating itself multiple times within the same frame, creating a rare spatial effect in nature. The Fagradalsfjall volcano is where you can see the Earth forming right before your eyes. Crimson lava flows through the valley like rivers of fire, slow but unstoppable, continuously covering the surface with new layers of land. There were no violent explosions, only a constant rhythm of eruptions, like the breathing of a colossal creature, occasionally sending columns of fire high into the dark sky. Near the flow, you can clearly feel the heat, hear the cracking of rocks, and see the ground transforming every second. In this place, you do not just observe nature, you witness a living planet that continues to change and regenerate without ever stopping.
God's Bridge is a giant natural rock bridge formed from the remains of an ancient cave that collapsed over millions of years. The limestone structure is approximately 25 meters wide and almost 20 meters high, crossing the valley and forming large, characteristic rock arches of karst terrain. On the surface of the bridge, natural openings appear that allow sunlight to penetrate, creating distinct beams of light that illuminate the interior of the cave.
Beneath the bridge, moisture is retained, supporting the growth of mosses and ferns year-round, creating a strong contrast with the surrounding drier limestone area. Due to its difficult access and limited tourism development, this area remains in a highly natural state and is considered one of the wildest karst landscapes in Bulgaria. The Okavango Delta is where a river disappears in the middle of the desert, never reaching the ocean. Instead of flowing into the sea, the water of the Okavango River spreads into a network of marshes and small islands extending over about 15,000 square kilometers, gradually evaporating and seeping into the sands of the Kalahari. The entire system works as a giant natural filter where water is purified by sand and plant roots, becoming so clear that it can be drinkable directly. In the middle of this land, tens of thousands of wild animals live, including the largest population of elephants in the world, together with many species of rare predators. The Makoro boats float slowly through the narrow channels, almost silently, allowing people to approach nature without disturbing the balance. From above, the entire plain appears like a network of green veins in the middle of a golden desert. And at sunset, the calm water surface reflects a bright red light that stretches into infinity. Rifos Waterfall is one of the tallest in Iceland, where water falls directly from a height of about 122 meters into a deep and narrow canyon. The waterfall flow originates from the Fossá River, which overflows the edge of the plateau and plunges into the Þjórsárdalu Valley, creating a steep and dramatic landscape. Right next to it is Granny Waterfall, located only a few dozen meters away, both falling into the same abyss, forming a rare double waterfall system. The large volume of free-falling water creates a thick mist at the base, and under sunlight, rainbows frequently appear, and even double rainbows can be seen.
The observation area has almost no fences, with predominantly soft soil and grass terrain, making approaching the edge of the abyss a high-risk activity. In winter, the low temperatures cause the water to freeze partially or almost completely, transforming the waterfall into a large ice structure with long icicles hanging from the cliffs. Antarctica is where the Earth pushes all the limits of nature to the most severe extremes known to humans. It is the coldest, driest, windiest, and highest continent, if we consider its ice sheet, with temperatures that have already reached minus 89.2 degrees Celsius. Although covered in ice, its interior receives almost no new rainfall or snowfall, which actually makes it the largest desert on the planet. This immense mass of ice contains about 70% of the world's fresh water, and if it melted, sea levels would rise by about 60 meters. In this harsh environment, emperor penguins still breed in winter, with males remaining for months in darkness and cold to protect the eggs. Among glowing blue icebergs and land that belongs to no nation, Antarctica exists as a separate world, where nature still maintains total control. Covao dos Conchos looks like a hole in reality, where the surface of the lake suddenly opens and swallows everything. From above, the water spins in a spiral toward the center, creating the sensation of a black hole, sucking the surrounding landscape into the underground. But behind this surreal appearance, there is an engineering structure that diverts the water through a long tunnel passing through the mountain. Built in the mid-20th century, located at the top of Serra da Estrela at an altitude of about 1,500 meters, the site is often wrapped in fog, making the landscape even more mysterious.
When the water level drops, the concrete part becomes exposed, resembling the remains of a lost civilization. And in winter, when the lake surface freezes, the dark hole stands out against the white snow, creating an image that is both beautiful and unsettling. Komodo Island is where you enter a prehistoric world, a place where reptiles are still at the top of the food chain. On its yellow, scorched savanna hills and turquoise-colored coasts, Komodo dragons appear slowly but with great power,
reaching up to 3 meters in length and weighing over 70 kilograms. They do not hunt with speed, but with patience, using their forked tongues to detect scents at distances of nearly 10 kilometers. In isolated conditions, females can even reproduce without a male, a rare mechanism that has helped this species survive over time. Local residents live alongside them every day, building houses on stilts and always carrying sticks to keep a safe distance from these ancient predators. Amid the harsh and silent landscape, every movement carries a sense of tension, as if you were in a world that never belonged to humans. The Pamir Mountains are where the world's greatest mountain ranges collide, forming a colossal plateau known as the Roof of the World. The terrain here sits at an average altitude of 3,500 to over 7,000 meters, with peaks covered in ice year-round and extremely thin air. Deep valleys and long glaciers cut through the mountains, forming a complex geological network stretching across several Central Asian countries. The harsh living conditions make the population extremely sparse, with small villages scattered along rugged mountain roads.
The weather changes rapidly, from intense sunshine to snowstorms in a very short time, making travel always risky. In the vast and cold expanse, the Pamir exists as one of the highest and most isolated regions where humans have ever lived. Katmai National Park is where nature operates in its most primitive state, uncontrolled and unpredictable. After the 1912 eruption, the valley was filled with hundreds of meters of hot ash, which once emitted dense smoke from thousands of vents. Today, this area still carries the marks of a geological disaster, with its cold gray surface and rivers cutting through the now cooled ash layer. Katmai is also home to the world's highest density of coastal brown bears, which gather along the rivers to hunt seasonal salmon. The ancient volcanic crater collapsed to form a turquoise blue lake nestled between cliffs and snow, creating a striking contrast of colors. Due to the lack of roads, the entire area is accessible only by plane or sea, keeping its ecosystem almost untouched by humans. Moray looks like a gigantic whirlpool, where the Incas turned the underground into a living laboratory. 3 concentric funnel systems were excavated to a depth of approximately 150 meters, with terraces arranged in an almost perfectly symmetrical pattern, creating the sensation of a structure far beyond its time. Thanks to its unique shape, each level generates a distinct microclimate, with a temperature difference of up to 15 degrees Celsius between the top and the bottom, allowing experimentation with crops ranging from warm, humid lowlands to cold highlands. The stone walls were built using the ashlar technique, with millimeter precision, without the need for mortar, yet remaining firmly in place through earthquakes and hundreds of years of time. Under the light, the green layers of crops, the reddish-brown color of Andean soil, and the gray of stone create a vibrant color palette, clearly reflecting each different ecological level. From afar, you do not only see a construction, but you feel how the Incas understood and controlled nature at a level that still amazes modern humanity today. Serengeti National Park is where life and death happen simultaneously, repeating daily on a stage that stretches across thousands of square kilometers. The grasslands here were formed from ancient volcanic ash, creating a nutrient-rich food source that sustains millions of herbivores. This same food source attracts the highest density of predators in Africa, where lions, leopards, and hyenas constantly compete for survival. In the middle of the plains, granite kopjes rise like natural observation points, where predators stalk and rest. During the birth season, thousands of calves are born daily, simultaneously becoming targets of fierce hunts. Amid red dust and the endless movement of millions of individuals, the Serengeti emerges as a complete ecosystem, where everything operates according to the most primal rules of survival. Studlagil Canyon is like a secret recently awakened by the Earth after centuries of sleeping beneath a raging glacial river. Only when the water level drops, this canyon reveals itself, with its massive upright basalt columns, so straight and uniform that they seem like a structure impossible to have been created by nature. Each hexagonal stone column was born from molten lava that met extremely cold water, cracking into tens of thousands of perfect stone blocks through a violent and relentless process.
In summer, the turquoise blue water winds through the bottom of the canyon, creating a calm and almost surreal beauty. But as other seasons arrive, the river can change color, rise in level, and transform the entire landscape into a threatening flow. Going further in, the Studalafos waterfall descends from the curved cliff like a white silk ribbon in a world of black rock, making the landscape both soft and imposing. And because this place remains almost hidden, every step on the slippery rocks makes you feel that you are not just observing a wonder, but entering a wild area that still retains its original force. Pamukkale looks like a frozen waterfall in the middle of summer, where everything is so white it becomes unreal. You step on terraces of stone as soft-looking as cotton, but they are actually thousands of years of mineral deposits from continuously flowing hot water. The warm water spreads across each step, surrounding your bare feet, giving a sensation that is both relaxing and strange in an almost surreal landscape. Under sunlight, the pools constantly change color, from light blue to turquoise and then milky white, as if the light itself were redrawing the landscape. Each stacked layer of water forms natural terraces, reflecting the sky in rare tranquility. In this place, bathing is not just resting. It is like touching an ancient current of the earth that is still shaping the world. Masada National Park rises in the middle of the desert like a suspended fortress, completely isolated from the world below.
This limestone plateau has vertical cliffs reaching up to 400 meters in height, making it look like a giant ship stranded in a sea of arid sand. From the top, the view opens up over the entire Dead Sea, the lowest point on the continent, creating a strong contrast between altitude and depth. To reach here, you must follow the winding Snake Path Trail, a challenging ascent under the desert heat. At sunrise, the light paints all the cliffs in red and reflects off the distant water, creating a landscape that is both majestic and serene. And with its cracked rock surface and harsh environment, Masada is not just a landscape, but a symbol of resilience under extreme conditions. Badlands National Park is where the earth reveals its layers of memory, like an immense wall of rock torn open in the middle of the prairie. The rock formation called the Wall extends for hundreds of kilometers, rising like a natural barrier that completely divides two distinct topographic worlds. The rock layers here preserve fossils dating back more than 30 million years, a place where ancient animals that disappeared long ago once existed. Next to the barren rocky cliffs, the prairie grass still persists at the edge of the abyss, creating a sharp contrast between life and erosion. Winding roads through the area allow you to observe the colors of the rocks, constantly changing with the light throughout the day. At sunset, the sharp stone towers cast long shadows on the ground, transforming the entire landscape into a frame that is both harsh and full of life. The Taklamakan Desert is one of the most inhospitable deserts in Asia, where sand not only covers the ground, but is also in constant motion. Spanning more than 330,000 square kilometers, it is the second largest sand desert in the world, with dunes hundreds of meters high that move with the wind. Its name is often interpreted as a place where once you enter, it is very difficult to return, reflecting the extreme danger of the environment. Temperatures can exceed 50 degrees Celsius in summer and drop drastically in winter, creating extreme thermal amplitudes between day and night. Rivers from the surrounding mountain ranges flow into it, but quickly disappear beneath the sand, never reaching the sea. In the middle of its vast and almost lifeless space, Taklamakan exists as an immense void, where nature operates without the need for human presence. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park is unlike any other place on Earth, as if you have just entered a world suspended between clouds and rock. Thousands of giant stone pillars rise straight into the sky, delicate yet so tall that they give the sensation they could touch the clouds.
Mist retches through the base of the mountains, obscuring their foundations and making the entire stone forest seem to float in the air. Standing in that space, everything becomes strangely silent, leaving only height, depth, and a sense of human smallness. As the seasons change, the entire landscape transforms, from lush green to vibrant red, and then covered in white, almost as if nature is rewriting itself. And as you get closer, every trace of erosion on the rock faces is revealed, telling a story of millions of years, patiently carved by wind and water across this land. The Algarve Natural Arch is where the ocean does not merely touch the land, but continuously recreates it every single day. These rock arches form when ocean waves erode deep into weak fractures in limestone, expanding them into caves, and then breaking through to create giant stone gateways. The entire coastline carries the bright yellow color of calcarenite rock, tens of millions of years old, standing in strong contrast against the turquoise waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Beneath the arches, a dense marine ecosystem thrives with mosses, algae, and various creatures clinging to the rocks, taking advantage of the light that filters through the heart of the arches. Approaching by small boat, you can pass through the rock arches and clearly hear the sound of waves echoing inside the enclosed stone space. From above, natural openings in the cliffs create viewpoints toward the sea, where you can clearly see the process of erosion continuing every second.
The Wulong National Nature Reserve is a valley where ecosystems change with altitude, creating many different worlds within the same space. This reserve is one of the most important places for giant panda conservation, with more than 150 individuals living in their natural environment. The terrain ranges from about 100 meters to more than 6,000 meters, forming ecological layers from subtropical forests to regions of permanent ice-covered mountains. Throughout the area, there are dense bamboo forests, the main food source of giant pandas, where they consume dozens of kilograms daily to survive. The name Golong comes from the shape of the valley seen from above, resembling a dragon lying between mountain ranges. At higher points, clouds cover the entire valley, revealing only the mountain peaks and creating the region's characteristic Sea of Clouds phenomenon. From above, the Mara salt pans look like a giant carpet, where thousands of small shimmering pools spread across the slopes of the Andes. More than 3,000 salt pools have existed continuously since pre-Inca times, each supplied by a single source of salty water emerging from inside the mountain. The Coropujio stream carries minerals from ancient salt mines, flowing through each step and gradually crystallizing under the sun into different layers of salt.
Each pool has its own color,
depending on depth and minerals, ranging from pure white to light pink to earthy brown, creating a natural painting that changes with the seasons. When full, all the water in the system reflects light like thousands of small mirrors, making the entire mountainside shine as if covered in diamonds. From this perspective, you are not just seeing a salt mine, but a manually operated system that has lasted for thousands of years, where humans and nature still cooperate with remarkable precision. Goramy National Park is like a city carved directly into rock, where humans and nature together have sculpted a strange world that is fascinating to look at. The fairy chimneys rise throughout the valley, their stone tops resembling giant mushrooms, giving the impression that the landscape is sprouting from the ground. Beneath the surface, an entire underground city system with up to 18 levels once sheltered tens of thousands of people for many centuries. On the rocky slopes, churches and monasteries are carved directly into the stone, preserving ancient frescoes as remnants of a vanished world. Everywhere, countless small holes once used as pigeon houses remain, an essential part of survival in this arid land. And when winter arrives, snow covers the entire landscape, turning Goramy into a silent painting where rock, history, and time blend together.